On today's Toy Spot, why we're having a look at the Mattel Batman Unlimited Planet X Batman. Of the accessories that come with this figure, you can see he does include a bat, which is up at the top corner, no pun intended. And also down below, he looks like he comes with Bat-Mite. Looking at the two figures, I'm almost more excited for the Bat-Mite than I am with Planet X Batman. Yeah. On the side, however, there is some artwork showing off Planet X Batman and his little counterpart, Bat-Mite. As for the back of the package, the two figures that you can get from this line are Batman from The Dark Knight Returns, and of course the Batman from Planet X. Real name is Lano. Occupation is crime fighter. Location Zur-En R. Of course, Spot apologizes if he mispronounces that. Powers, abilities, and skills. Vast arsenal of weapons, vehicles, and gadgets. The read-up says Planet X Batman and Bat-Mite are both living proof that the influence of Batman's quest for justice reaches far beyond Gotham City. While they differ greatly in size and origin, both were inspired to don the Dark Knight-inspired costumes and masked heroes after observing Batman's crime-fighting styles from afar. Planet X Batman is a native to the distant world Zur-En-R, which has prior experience successfully teaming up with the Caped Crusader, while the mischievous and fifth-dimensional Bat-Mite has been known to be more of a nuisance than an aid. There you go. Again, Spot apologizes for mispronouncing names. I know sometimes pronouncing names aren't the easiest in these reviews, that's for sure. What I will do, however, is take a break. I'm going to get this open up, and when we come back, we're going to get a better look at Planet X Batman. Stay tuned. So with the accessories you'll get with Batman, you'll get yourself again a bat. Nicely enough detailed that really if you didn't utilize it with Planet X Batman, you could easily use it for any other DC Universe figure. If you had a Harley or really any one of those figures, you can certainly incorporate that. The bat, you can take Batman and just make sure we don't knock Bat-Mite over. That would really frustrate him, I'm sure, immensely. We can take the bat, there you go, and put it in Batman's hand. Have him pose with the bat if you want. We'll put him back. We'll get into Batman in a second. The other accessory, again, one Spot really was looking forward to getting, is a Bat-Mite. Technically the second Bat-Mite to reach the DC Universe fair, as we got ourselves already a Bat-Mite that was released with Silver Age Batman from the Batman Unlimited line, or I think it was Batman Legacy line back then. Unfortunately, for the life of me, Spot can't remember where he put that figure. If I do come across that Bat-Mite, I'll do a comparison for you guys. The other one, as far as I know, was blue. This one's got a black cowl. Like the details, I don't know how much is utilized from that Bat-Mite, but I certainly love the design on this one. I think the other one was a little more smiley. This Bat-Mite, not so much. He's a little more perturbed. Just a little more perturbed, and he's got himself his bat outfit with a little stitch symbol down there. He's got his utility belt. He's got himself the cape. Really nice detail. His articulation, by the way, he has a rotation in the head. It doesn't look as if it's a ball joint. It looks like you can just rotate it left and right. The arms go back and forth. Nothing in the hands. In fact, the hands are rubbery, so you're not going to get... There's a little give, but it's just going to stretch more than anything else. And it also looks like his legs swivel out. Like so. So he's kind of got like a V formation articulation point. So the legs are going to do this wonky swivel if you ever want to rotate them. Not that you're going to want to rotate Bat-Mite's legs like that, but there you go. Nice detail on the Bat-Mite. Again, looking at this and then looking at this, I almost think this is the nicer of the two figures. Anyways, we will put that aside. Let's have a look at Planet X Batman. I really don't know what I feel about this figure. This figure feels obviously like a Mod Podge. He is based, of course, on Planet X, the other realm version of Batman. I think on a translation to the figure, to the character, it's not bad. He has one of those really garish outfits that, unless you're following the comics that he's depicted from, you might look at this and think, oh my god, what is wrong with that Batman? He's got some yellow in his sleeves, he's got some red in his lower legs, he's got purple everywhere, and then he's got an interesting Batman logo. You can see that there's some stitch work going on the side, some extra sculpt there. It's also got an additional sculpted piece in the shoulder area there. That's not just simply a reuse of an existing DC Universe sculpt. Of course, things like the gloves are probably utilized from previous Batmans, lower legs and all that stuff easily utilized. And of course, he's got a new sculpt on the cape. This tattered purple cape with little holes going on in there. A nice touch. You could probably reuse this cape, maybe for like a ragman or something like that. Then, unfortunately, we get to his face, and you know what? Before we do that, I'm just going to take this bat out of his hand. I almost feel as if Planet X Batman is going to use it. So I'm just going to put that down there. Having a look at his face, I think, is probably the weakest aspect of this figure. He's got a very angry Batman face. He's got the much longer ears, and he's got the stitch work across the top of the cowl. For the most part, doesn't work too bad. My real problem with the figure is when you look at the head, and then you zoom back, he's got one ginormous head. It's a little too big for his body. Just a little bit. Certain figures, and I mentioned this during the course of the Dark Knight Returns Batman, certain figures incorporate better than others in certain release series. When you get a release series of like DC Universe, certain figures work better than others. When you get characters, generally I feel, when you get characters based on a specific comic line, the best way to get these figures usually are through DC Direct, DC Collectibles. A figure like this probably could have translated well over to the DC Direct, but unfortunately with utilizing a pre-made sculpt on a torso and remaining body parts, I feel as if Batman becomes less an entity of a character and becomes more or less a Mod Podge of parts. I think they had good intentions with doing the head, but unfortunately it just ends up coming out a little too big for his liking. A very good example of some of the figures was, like, for example, the Two-Face Batman was done really well in the DC Direct version. Had he ever been released through a Mattel DC Universe line, perhaps he would have suffered the same fate as this one right here. Again, utilizing parts, unable to really mold and retweak these, whereas DC Collectibles, DC Universe, DC Direct, those figures tend to be their own molds. So you can get away with probably a little larger of a torso, maybe skinnier legs, skinnier arms, and a much smaller head. Obeying the rules and the confines of a DC Universe style body, I feel like Batman here just kind of suffers, and definitely suffers with a really big noodle. Big melon on the top of his shoulders. In the way of his articulation, Batman from Planet X does have a ball-jointed head, although you can rotate it, but moving it up and down is a little harder than it looks. He does have a pin and socket in his shoulders. His arms, of course, move out. They move back and forth. Rotation in the bicep, bend in the elbow, rotation in the hand. And then you get your standard upper torso bend, rotation in the waist. Legs go forward, back, out. Rotation, of course, in the thigh, bend at the knee, and hinged foot. This would have been a good Batman. Again, not really everybody's cup of tea, I'm sure. But if you followed the comic series, I think this Batman would have been better suited as a DC Direct version of Batman, where he could have gotten his own rewarding sculpt and I think true justice to the figure. Unfortunately, through a Mattel release as a DC Universe moniker, I feel as if this Batman, I feel like this Batman just does not deliver. It just ultimately looks like a knockoff, and I hate saying that because really the design is interesting enough, but when you have it set in the limitations of what that line can do, sometimes you have to make shortcuts, and I feel like Batman just ultimately looks like a mess. Planet X Batman, I'm only going to give him a 4.5. I think personally, as a matter of preference, I think he's a pass. Of the two figures, the Dark Knight Batman definitely is a better figure. I felt as if the figure was almost too simplistic and kind of had that same problem being confined to the restrictions of a DC Universe style body, but at least that figure does what it needs to do well. This Batman, I just feel like it could have been better as a DC Direct version. Of course, you guys can wage in on your thoughts on this figure. Let me know, of course, what you guys think of it. Today's Toy Spot, we're having a look at the Mattel Batman Unlimited. We're looking today at Batman from Planet X. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you guys next time.